There it goes.
Okay.
Day is yours.
All right. So thanks for letting me talk to you all today about some things I've learned while going through my PhD program about how to do a lit review and how to make it a little less awful. So they're generally awful. I don't know too many people who love to do lit reviews, but these are some things that I've learned help me to make it a little less awful. So a little bit about me. I just finished my PhD program from Vanderbilt and the degrees in education, leadership, and policy. My dissertation is on the assistant principalship. And I'm a quantitative researcher, so a lot of the tips I'm going to share are kind of from that lens and that angle. So, and you know, just personally, I identify as a Korean American man, a father and a husband. My pronouns are he. Okay, so what qualifies me to tell you about lit reviews? I just finished my dissertation where I had to do a lot of lit reviewing, and so I have a lot of practice in this area now. I had some researchers on my committee that are really well read. And they really grilled me specifically on my lit review. So I think that I've learned a lot, especially through that dissertation process, about what it takes to really make that work and really pass muster for even the most critical of people. I was also a primary caregiver to my daughter on most days while finishing my dissertation. So like one of the things I really tried to do was be very efficient. So these are some of the things I learned along the way to make me more efficient. And these are just some strategies I've learned that work for me, and they may work for you, but there's no guarantee. And the most important thing is finding a system that works for you. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about in this conversation is getting a citation manager. And it would be wonderful if it was a person, but I'm talking primarily about digital citation managers that, you know, do the work of kind of organizing all your citations for you. And there's a few different options. The two kind of main ones that at least I'm aware of are Zotero and Mendeley, and they're standalone like clients, like programs that do the citation managing for you. I think that there's like strengths and weaknesses of both. I don't really know what they are. I have some friends that really like Mendeley, some that really like Zotero. I think it's just a lot about what works best for your workflow. If I'm not mistaken, Mendeley's syncing might be better. It's like, I think primarily through an online platform. So I think that might be what some people like about it. I like Zotero for a number of reasons, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. There's also some old school methods, right? Like just dumping them all in Word. And the other one is if you use LaTeX to do your word processing, you can use a .bib file to kind of organize them. That's another option. And it all just kind of depends. So how do you choose? It depends on your workflow, right? Like, are you using a text writer like LaTeX, or are you using something like Word or like, I forget what it's called in Mac, like Pages or something like that. And then how much upfront work you want to do and how much control I might add to that. So the kind of mechanical like Word document and .bib files might be less like automatic, but they give you a lot more control, right? You can kind of organize the citations in kind of whatever way you want. And then lastly, how important storage is to you and how much money you want to pay, right? So things like a Word file or a .bib file are free. You know, you just need to have the space on your hard drive or a digital drive. Whereas like a service like Zotero might actually, sorry, my puppy's going crazy. My partner's home and he's just excited to see her. So like a Zotero is actually not, they have a free system, but you get capped at like a certain number of gigs. Whereas you could pay, I think it's like $20 a month and have unlimited storage on it. So it's all up to you, like what you're willing to pay for, what you're willing to do, all those kinds of things. Okay, so my preference is Zotero because I use Word primarily for writing text, and it has a good add-in for Word. So it integrates real well, and you could set up hotkeys for adding citations, and then it just dumps your bibliography at the end for you in whatever format you want. It has a really easy to use layout, and I'll show you that in a second. And I think search is really straightforward and easy to use. And probably the biggest thing is that it's what I learned first. And so, you know, that's what kind of stuck because I learned it first. Okay. So how does it work? I just wanted to show you maybe like an example so that you all can see. Okay, so here's what Zotero's kind of user interface looks like. And I just made a fake folder here called ELP-PD. And you throw your citations in there. And then when you click on it, you can see that it gives you all the information here on the right-hand side. It might save the abstract, all of those kinds of things. And then you have this creator section and year, and you can sort by those kinds of things. So like, let's say you want to find specifically all the articles by some author, right? And so you just click creator, and then you can search all the citations that are Grissom and be able to find them all real quickly. Maybe you need, you know, newer citations. So you just search, you know, have it sort by year, and then you can see all the citations by year. So that's a pretty easy user interface. You can create your own items. And, you know, when you do that, it asks you what kind of item you want to have. And then, you know, for me, I use a lot of journal articles. So I might click journal article, and then I can just fill in all this information on the right-hand side. That's a very tedious way, in my opinion, of getting these citations. I think the easier way to go is if you go to something like a Google search. And where did I put it? I think this is it. Let's see. Nope. Yes. Okay. All right. So let's say I just want to find shameless self-promotion, my article, right, on principal preparation programs, right? So here on Google Scholar, I found the citation that I want, and you can get the Zotero plugin for Chrome, and you just click on the, you know, article off of Google Scholar, and here I have the citation, and because I'm using the Google Scholar portal through the University of Utah's library. If you haven't done that before, just go to their library and look up like using Google, and then you can save that link and bookmark it. And then I just go to that, because the nice thing that it does, just to go back real quick, is that it tells you like you can get it at U of U, or like you can go directly to the PDF. And so like in case you like find an article that you like and you want to access it real quick, by using it through the Marriott Library's portal, you can access it real quick. And then now I have access to the article because I'm using the library's permissions, if that makes sense. Okay, so here I've got the article I want, and in my Chrome, I have the plugin. And if I click Save to Zotero, it's going to say, ask me where, and you know, it'll just automatically save to the folder you were last using in Zotero, so ELP-PD. And then now it's saved the citation, and it's also saved a PDF if I have access to the PDF. So now when I go into my Zotero folder, here I have that article. I have all the information about that article, and you can do expand, and here's the PDF, and I can open the PDF, and boom, I have the PDF. So this is really why I like a citation manager, is because it keeps all the information I need in one place. So I'll just show you real quick in Word what I've done. Let's say blah, blah, blah. And then I want to, let's say, add a citation. I think I've set it up to do this. Sorry, this is real exciting stuff. Nope. So if you go to add-ins and you go to com add-ins, you can, I don't know why the Zotero one is not in there. Sorry, this is real compelling stuff. Add-ins. Okay, I don't know why it's not active. Yeah, okay. So now I can add the Zotero add-in, and then now I get a little tab called Zotero, and I can go in there and I can add or edit a citation. I can pick the, type of citation. I forget what this is called, formatting that you're supposed to use. I use APA a lot, so that's just what I do. And then now it'll give me a little search bar, and let's say I put in woo, and then now I can find, the citation that I just found, and I double click that and then hit enter, and boom, it's got my citation. And then I can go to the next page and then add the bibliography, and then it creates the bibliography. So that's why I really like Zotero, is because it has that word integration. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is annotated bibliographies. And the reason I'm going to talk about annotated bibliographies is because I think it's the best way to start off your lit review. Why do you start with an annotated bibliography? It gives you an overview of the literature. It creates a structure to focus your reading. And then it provides a record for you to reference when looking for sources. And it's a little bit more in depth than something like Zotero. So it's, you might dump all your citations or any possible citations into a Zotero, and then kind of narrow it down when you get to the annotated bibliography stage. So what goes in my annotated bibliography? And again, keep in mind, I use quantitative methodologies, and so it kind of emphasizes an approach that works well for quantitative writing. My dissertation was a 3-paper format, so that's maybe something to consider. And my chair's preference was for a tight lit review, and I learned this format from my chair, Jason Grissom. Sorry, gonna pass. Okay, go to mama. Okay. Okay. Okay, so, and this is generally the structure of how I put in an entry for an annotated bibliography. All the content is right here, but I'll go through each step. So the first thing is a citation in APA format. Again, I use APA. All the journals I write for generally use APA. And so I find putting the citation in APA kind of just puts it in there, and there it is. And I can always reference it later if I need to make a bibliography. The type of study. So this is, is it quantitative or qualitative? And then what is the study about? And this is real short. You're not going into details yet. The next piece is data sources. And again, for quantitative researchers, this is kind of an important piece. You want to know, where do the data come from? What is the N size? So how many people, who, who is, in the sample. Okay, and then study design, this is a little bit more in depth about how the study was conducted. For quantitative research, you might include something like, what was the estimation strategy? For qualitative research, you might look at, what methodological frameworks were employed in the analysis or in the data collection, those kinds of things. Okay, and then in the summary section, you want to just bullet point just the key findings and implications. So high level stuff. You're not trying to get into super detail. And then lastly, any notes. So these are specific notes about the quality of the study and then relevance of the study to your project. And that's really the important part, because this notes section is really going to help you do some of the other pieces that we'll get into. One thing that I hope you take away from looking at this format is there's a way to read articles so that you don't have to read the whole thing and get all this information. And I think that's a kind of important piece to mention, is if you try to read every article, you're gonna kill yourself trying to make a lit review. Don't do it. I would say start by collecting this information, and that'll narrow down which articles it's actually important to read. So the next step is to sort the studies. And this is a really important piece, because the first part is kind of just, you're going on autopilot and you're just kind of cranking out all the information, and there's not a lot of analytics happening. When you get to this stage, now you're thinking about how these studies fit together. So you're going to finish annotating all your studies. Then you're going to sort them in order of importance / relevance. So you're going to probably put the articles or books that are most relevant to your project at the very beginning, and kind of categorize them into different groups. So let's say you have several studies that are about principal preparation programs. All right, so the first set might be, just about principal preparation programs generally. Another set might be about the curriculum in the principal preparation programs. Another section might be about quality of instructors. So you start categorizing your citations into groupings. And this helps you review your studies and think about each study's relative importance to your study and how these things kind of fit together. Then you're going to write a short summary. And the summary forces you to synthesize, which is really the goal of this exercise. The goal is to kind of like collect all the articles you're going to need for your literature review. And then you're going to try to think about how they connect together. Something I've seen a lot of, kind of what I see as like lit reviews that I think are not very compelling, are they just kind of regurgitate what are in the articles, or they just kind of highlight key findings from each of those articles. If it just stops there, I don't think there's really a lot that lit review is actually doing for your manuscript, right? The goal is in a lit review to have your work be in conversation with other work in the field. And so what the summary helps you to do is start to think about how your work fits with other work in the field. The short forces you to be critical and get to the point. And the summary the purpose isn't to actually write your lit review, but to start your thinking about how these citations kind of fit together, these different articles and books. Okay, so some final notes. This is a system that I'm describing that works for me and organizing my thoughts. Use a system that works for you. Ask a few other professors what they do. And some of it might come down to how your chair would prefer your lit review to go. You can make all kinds of different decisions when you end up out outside of the program, but while you're in the program, you just want to finish. And so the goal is to just do whatever you need to do to finish. And so, maybe talk to your chair, some other professors you really value their writing and, their expertise, take some of their opinions as well. Stay organized, whatever system you decide to do, because that is a real enemy of writing, is being disorganized with all of this. If you start to get disorganized, it becomes a lot harder to get that lit review done and to get the writing done. The other thing is to stay focused. I don't know how you all are, but for me, I tend to fall into rabbit holes because that's why I did a PhD program, because I like to learn and I am very curious. And so I'll read about one article and then I'll go down a rabbit hole of other articles related to that article that don't have anything to do with my research. That's bad. That's how you become really inefficient. It might be interesting, you might learn a lot, but it's not helping you get to your goal in the most efficient process. Like when you're trying to complete a course paper or you're trying to write your dissertation, don't do that. You have other opportunities to kind of go down rabbit holes. This isn't it. Again, don't read everything, not on the, just read the things that are most relevant to your work. If you start reading everything, you're going to find yourself very pressed for time and very frustrated because it's hard to kind of fit everything together. The more you kind of read in a focused way, the more effective of a lit review you're likely to write, in my opinion. The last two things are kind of like more mental things for just getting through a lit review. The first thing is to break that big task up into manageable pieces. So, there were times where I really didn't want to work on my lit reviews. And so I just really had no motivation. And when I thought about doing a lit review, it was just such a daunting thing. It just paralyzed me further. So what I did was I saw an academic coach, and the academic coach recommended, make manageable goals for each day and just focus on getting those done. So it was read 5 citations or do 5 citations for an annotated bibliography towards your lit review. If I do that soon enough, I've got enough citations where I can write my lit review. Don't get bogged down with thinking about the big thing. Break it up into small pieces that you can achieve. And then progress is progress. Let's say you set a goal for 5, but you only got done with 1. The last thing you want to do is beat yourself up about just getting 1 article read and having it annotated and feeling like, man, because of that, I feel like a failure, and then getting into a rut. You want to recognize that progress is progress, no matter, what that looks like numerically or what it looks like on a to-do list. Just try to keep focused on making a little bit of progress all the time. So that is it for my presentation. I tried to move fast and furious, but hopefully you found that helpful. Can I answer any questions?